Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Chasing Labels, and we're here for another insider interview. This time, we're bringing back the man from Fun City Editions, Johnathan Hertzberg. How you doing, man?
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having me again, Stephen. When was the last time I was on here?
Oh man, I think it was maybe beginning of 2024.
Really,
Um,
really, was that recent? I feel like it was even longer, but
it
maybe I'm
might have been longer than that, yeah, because I know last year, no, not anything last year. Yeah, it might have been even further back. It might have been like beginning of 2023,
wow,
maybe. Yeah.
wow.
So, but it was, I know it was the beginning of the year because it was a similar thing to what we're going to do tonight, where we kind of talked about the previous year and then
Okay,
like something new that was coming out. So, like, it might have been 2 years ago. I don't know.
wow. Okay,
But how's it been going? How you doing?
good. As I told you before we started recording, if you could see around the rest of my place, it's just filled with shipping materials and boxes of stock, mostly of Ladies and Gentlemen, Fabulous Stains, our latest release, which the process of fulfilling all of the orders, which you got yours.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, oh yeah,
yeah, so that's kind of what I'm in the thick of right now, to
yeah,
be honest with you. And so
yeah.
yeah, it's kind of a mess. Hence,
Yeah,
I
you
couldn't
guys.
find my mic
No,
as
no,
we
it's
talked
all
about.
good, man. Yeah, we had a little scramble before this. He was trying to find his mic, but it's lost in the thousands of Blu-rays hanging around his room. So that happens to even me. Um, but
Well, I know you have thousands of Blu-rays, right, in that room and spread throughout. Well, maybe not throughout the home. I mean,
my wife sometimes finds them in weird places. I'll watch something, sit it somewhere, and yeah, it happens. It happens. It finds its way into weird places. But and shelf space is premium, and I'm running out of it down here, so it's gonna start going somewhere else. Um, but yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a while. And we're gonna talk about a couple of your most recent releases. You just brought up ladies and gentlemen, Fabulous Stains, and
mhm,
also Goodbye Columbus. They're going to be two ones we're going to kind of highlight tonight. But
okay,
before we do that, I'd like to talk about 2025.
yeah,
I think this was a really I feel like this was a really star-studded year for Fun City. Like, it's like you had a lot of like kind of unknown gems, but with like heavy hitters involved, like something like the Nicolas Cage and Sean Penn starring Racing with the Moon here to
yeah,
begin the
yeah,
year.
yeah,
You had my favorite, I think, from last year, which was Sam Elliott in Lifeguard. Um,
yeah. That's been a
really love.
popular one. That's been a popular one.
You also had, of course, the John Sayles directed Baby It's You.
Hmm.
And we had the Robert De Niro, Meryl Streep falling in love.
Yeah, and I
And
think
then,
that's the biggest. That maybe is the two biggest stars. Like you're talking about star-studded, right?
well, I mean, just like in the sense of cinephiles, I mean, getting John Sayles, getting that, Breaking Glass was the last one we had here. And of course, at the beginning of the year, you also had the Welcome to Fun City kind of trailer reel, TV spot, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
So,
That was last year
uh,
too, right?
yeah, right at the beginning of last year. And now you got a standard edition that just came out. So that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So,
We had a little run on those, and so we did a second press, which wasn't originally planned, but yeah, it was talked about on another podcast, the Big Picture podcast.
okay.
Do you know that one?
Yeah, yeah.
They talked up Welcome to Fun City, and the next thing I knew, it was like, oh, I got to repress these. So that was cool. That's
That's
the only
awesome, man.
that's the only time that's happened where it was like, I was like, why am I getting suddenly like a run on? Because it had been out for a little bit, and then
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it was. So
Sometimes, yeah, the right people are talking it up and just getting the word of mouth out there. People are like, shit, that's what that was? That sounds
yeah,
cool, man. Let's get it. Yeah.
so that's what we got to do here tonight, right? Like,
Well, dude, I don't think you need
what
that.
do we could use some help with falling in love. Yeah, that's
Okay. All right. I mean, look, if you can't get into that one just because of the two stars, I don't know what to do for you. But
yeah. It's funny. I mean, you know, a lot of these movies, even though, yeah, like you say, big stars like De Niro and Streep. I mean, you two of the biggest ever, two of the best to ever do it. And it's a Fun City movie. You know, it's made in New York. It's got other big actors in support, and it was kind of when it came out, it was a disappointment. You know, but it is surprising. It's still a sleeper. It's
Yeah.
still that's yeah. And then you
Well,
mentioned
you
Lifeguard.
know,
Lifeguard, that
dude,
one is
I
Lifeguard
love
is,
I love this
Lifeguard,
movie.
people a little more excited. That one's one that people got really excited about.
Yeah, you know, I'd obviously never seen it when I watched it finally, and you know, I'm a big um I know this is not it's kind of maybe a weird comparison, but like it made me think about like something like The Swimmer. Um, you know, like
I
kind of
mean, I
like a
like it. I'll take it.
you know, like a contemplative movie about a man who's like later in life and he's like not sure, you know, obviously in The Swimmer he's like going through something like where it's like he's not quite like understanding his reality.
Yeah,
And it's similar, like this is a man who's like kind of stuck in this like lifestyle that's not really like good, you know, like and then this younger girl shows up and wants to like, and he's like, nah, like I don't think this is right. Like maybe a little bit younger version of Samuel Elliott would have jumped on that chance, but like it's I just love movies that are very like kind of meditative on like men in like middle age and they're like trying to think about like where am I at in life. Like I love movies like that.
yeah. Well, I feel like we have. I feel that's a good. I feel like a number of our films probably fall into that category in the FCE catalog for
For
sure.
sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. I love it. Um, but yeah, so with 2025, what was like is there any surprise? You said that Lifeguard was a big hit. Is there any other ones that came out that you were surprised by the reception on them?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was surprised about the Welcome to Fun City.
Yeah.
That that to me was like a low hanging fruit kind of thing to do, but I wasn't quite sure how it would get
Yeah.
received. And that one, yeah, people really dug the concept. Which for those who don't know, it's a collection of trailers of all movies made in Fun City in New York of the 60s, 70s, 80s. So I just saw there had been so many trailer compilations in the past that kind of focused on different genres and stuff like that and grindhouse kind of stuff. And I just thought, well, there's so many other good New York movies that would never fall into any of those categories. So we should just do it as New York movies. And then we can put genre stuff alongside dramas and, you know, prestige movies and things that wouldn't fit on one of those normal trailer compilations. And I love trailers, and, you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, so that was a lot of fun. That one's a lot of fun to do, and it continues to be that one continues to move. Yeah, I said Lifeguard. Um, Baby It's You, even though that had come out before on Blu-ray years ago, our version has a lot of addition. I did a lot of new interviews and stuff for
Yeah.
that one. I thought that was a movie I really have always loved, and so it's nice to see, even though that had come out before, you know, we have a brand new transfer, new restoration, as well as all those new extras. So that one's also, I think, a lot of people missed it before. You know,
No, I was one of them. I was
yeah,
one. I like I'm somebody that's kind of trying to get himself into John Sayles more. And so is a director I've kind of missed. So so getting this was like, oh, an early John Sayles film. Let me jump in. This is one of my first ones. I mean, I've seen Matawan,
hmm
and I have Lone Star, and I need to watch it. But yeah, so it was good to get one of his early works and solid. I loved it. And you know, it's never a bad, you know, some people complain about re-releases. Of course, like you said, this is a new transfer, but there's always a chance you're going to reach somebody else when you're
exactly,
putting something.
exactly,
Yeah.
right. Because there's a lot of people that got into this hobby more
Or just getting
recently,
into it.
or
Yeah.
just getting into it. Yeah. And so, yeah, there's so much stuff that's already come and gone, that's come into print and out of print.
Yeah.
And yeah, and Baby It's You really fits our, I really feel like that's the kind of title that that fits the brand identity. And it's a movie I've always loved. So so that was so much fun to do. And then just that's a movie that where so many of the people are still around,
Yeah.
worked on it, and they have such strong feelings for it that everybody was so positive about it. So I was able to get all these great interviews because everyone was like, "Yeah, I'll talk about it. That's one of my proudest moments."
Yeah.
And then just the other day, last week, at Film Forum here in New York, they did a screening of Baby It's You, and they had the producers, Griffin Dunn and Amy Robinson there, and the star, Rosanna Arquette, and it was a sold-out show,
Wow.
and it sold out in like 5 days or less, and it was great. I think there were so many people that hadn't seen the movie before. They hadn't seen the movie, hadn't seen our Blu-ray, hadn't seen the movie at all, and it was a younger audience, which I like to see as well, and it went over really well. Like
That's great.
people,
And that's
yeah, really dug
and
it.
that's a good thing about like when you guys decide you're going to restore a film and then it plays, you starts to play sometimes in theatrical events like that. And
Yeah,
not only is it a good way to introduce people, but even maybe a chance for, the Blu-ray to get, some more sales,
yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And they did play the new. It was the new restoration that played.
Yeah.
And look, because there's no print. There actually is no print of the movie that circulates or that's in any
Yeah.
condition to circulate. So yeah, they played the new restoration, and then it was a great Q&A. And I have to say, lots of the stuff that was shared in the Q&A is in the that you if you missed that event, it's in the
Exactly.
Blu-ray,
There you go.
between all the interviews. That most of the stories I'd heard some of the stories before,
Yeah.
but yeah. So that's been that one's been a real nice. That one's been a pleasant surprise. You mentioned Racing with the Moon, falling. I mentioned Falling in Love. Those ones remain. I would like to see. Those are sleepers, and I love
Yeah.
sleepers, and that's how I describe a lot of the movies that I I I've gravitated to over the years are
Yeah.
movies that were kind of slept on and kind of often looked past or overlooked.
Okay.
And those ones, I'd like to see a little more action on them. To be honest with
All
you,
right, so them two, I'm gonna focus on, and I'm gonna do reviews on both of them and see if something happens.
see if something
See,
happens. Yeah.
see what something happens.
Um,
I don't know if I have the audience as big picture show, but
yeah. Yeah. Right.
yeah,
Well, I
we'll
mean,
see.
well, yeah. There's time yet. There's time yet. How
Yeah,
long
yeah.
you guys been doing this show for?
Oh man, God, has it been 5 years, 6 years? I don't know, something like
So you've
that.
been doing it like around the same amount of time that we've been doing Fun City.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
I think our first interview with you was when you were still with Vinegar Syndrome as a partner label, and
So have we done more than one in the past
I
already?
think we've done two other interviews.
Oh wow. Okay.
I
Cool.
think so.
It's
But
definitely been a while. It's definitely
it's
been a while.
dude,
So
I don't have a good memory. Like
yeah.
I'm not good at this. But
I haven't done one, and honestly, I haven't done one of these in a little while either. So
yeah,
it's good to be back, and there's definitely plenty to talk about. So,
well,
so yeah, if
uh,
you want to talk about some of the new stuff,
let's
um,
do it, man. I was gonna say, good transition. You talk about Baby It's You. Another relationship film was one of your new releases, and that's Goodbye Columbus.
yes,
Um, Once again, of course, something I had not seen, but I
hmm
am so glad I saw it. This is, I think, a hidden gem, guys. I think if you're a fan of something like The Graduate, which is obviously referenced a lot in the text here. I was reading through the
yeah,
booklet, which is the booklet has really great kind of contextual information about what was going on during pre-production through filming and into post and stuff like
right.
that, and kind of the legacy of what this film is. And yeah, please tell us about your introduction to finding this film and why it was something you felt you wanted to release.
Well, so it's based on a Philip Roth novella. I think it's his first, and it's the first of his books anyway to be adapted into a film. And there haven't been that many. There haven't been too many successful ones. This movie, I actually hadn't seen it until the last few years, and I think what's surprised me is this movie was a huge hit in its day,
Yeah.
and and people of the generation who were young people when it came out, they all saw it. You know, it's like a movie. It's like one. I have to say, like, it's one of the only movies that I've released that I could mention to my mom, and she's like, "Oh, I love that movie." Yeah, she
Yeah,
knew it.
I
It
think
was
it
a
said
big
in the booklet that it made like 5 times its budget or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of the top movies of its year, um, and it was one of several movies, in fact, that we've released on the label that came in the wake of The Graduate, um, that were either cited by critics or as, you know, similar in some way to The Graduate, or that the filmmaker or that they made it trying to do something similar or capture some of the audience share that The Graduate did. So this movie is definitely we have this movie, we have T.R. Baskin is another movie that got a
Yeah.
lot of Graduate comparisons when it came out. The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz is another one that gets a lot of when it came out. These were movies that people name checked The Graduate as you know, the movie that they were reminded of.
Yeah.
So yeah, Goodbye Columbus. When I watched it, I was like, wow, why is this movie not talked about more? Because you mentioned something like The Swimmer, right? I love The Swimmer. This movie is in that same time period and set in the same relatively the same place as well.
Yeah.
We're talking like uh, Connecticut, New York, Westchester
Yeah.
County. You know, it's very, and then some of the, and then the cinematographer for this movie, Gerald Hirschfeld, later shot, or around the same time, maybe the same year, shot Frank Perry's next film after The Swimmer, Last Summer. This is
Mm.
all covered. A lot of this is covered in Bill Ackerman's very thorough audio commentary.
Yeah.
Bill does more research and goes deeper than most people, if anybody, on these commentaries. Uh, and anyway, thrilled to have him. He did the audio commentary for this. Jim Healy wrote the booklet essay that you mentioned. So anyway, I watched the movie and I thought, man, this movie's funny. It's also sad. I like films that are more I like films that are overall like a dramatic
Yeah.
films, but that have comedy within them. I think than the other way around. That's kind of just the way my brain works. And this movie
Yeah.
is one of those. I would say it's a drama before I would say it's a comedy, but it definitely has funny stuff, but it's dark. It's dark and it
Oh
turns
yeah.
and it's kind of this is a movie about a doomed romance. It shows Baby It's You. And
Yeah.
so are probably some other films that I'm forgetting at the moment that we have in the Fun City catalog.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, not without its pleasures. And it looks beautiful. The restoration they did is that Paramount did in this case for our release is, I think, gorgeous. It's like it's just so lush. You know, the color of the swimming pool, which we put on the, you know, we
Yeah.
had to put the pool. See, there you go again, bringing it. You know, I'm bringing it back to The Swimmer again,
Yeah.
because this is also a movie with where a swimming pool, pools, yeah, uh, play in the summer. It's the summer in the same,
Yeah.
and it's really in the same exact part of the country. Um, I'm not saying these movies are exactly alike,
No. No.
but there's a certain melancholy, and there's again what you were talking about before, a lot of contemplative kind of characters, and I mean there is narrative here, of course, but what we're looking at a relationship, a short-lived relationship over the course of the summer. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I think when I was thinking about a film that kind of came to mind, like you said, a doomed relationship type of movie. This one's is once again maybe this isn't like it's. I don't think this is far apart as Swimmer and Lifeguard, um, Chili Scene's a Winner. Um,
well,
was
which is it's so funny you mention that because that's also produced by Griffin Dunn and Amy Robinson. It's the movie they produced before
Yeah,
Baby It's You, and that also just played last week in New York, and they did a Q&A after that. So
awesome.
I love the compare. I love Chili Scene's a Winner.
Yeah. Yeah, in that film you got a marriage that's like, already, and the man doesn't really understand why, like, that it didn't work. And like he's like through the movie trying to like, and he finally gets it like the end, I think, like kinda, you know. But that's similar to this, like I think, but it's like the man kind of I think goes into the relationship knowing it's not it's probably not going to work, but he does it anyway,
yeah,
because
he's
of
kind of
the class differences.
yeah. That to me is actually the most the thing I find the most interesting about the film is the sort of class the the clash of class culture. I
Yeah,
mean, they're both Jewish characters, but it it's interesting. I mean, there aren't a lot of films I can think of, at least off the top of my head, that kind of explore within the Jewish American culture this difference in class, and also
yeah,
it's very specific to the mid-century, mid 20th century, and what what where those people were at that time. Um, but it does it that there it's done. There's some really there's those scenes where the one that always hits me, and I guess this is a bit of a spoiler, but when Ally McGraw, and this is Ally McGraw's first movie, and
yeah,
she's incredible. She's like fully formed. This is the movie that she did right before Love Story, which is one of the biggest hits of all time, and kind of saved the studio. That saved Paramount. Um, that's before The Godfather. Anyway, Ally McGraw takes Richard Benjamin up to this like secret attic in their house. They live in this large house, and it's like where their old furniture is stored from when they were poor. And
yeah,
that scene really hit me. Like that was, I thought, I don't know of another film. I don't know where that's been portrayed before.
yeah,
Um, stuff like so. This movie has stuff like that I think is really like historically. It's interesting just on a historical, sociological level.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it gets like I say, it gets people kind of forget this movie, and I think it fits in with a lot of the other new American new wave films. A lot of the other it fits in with a lot of the other more famous films that people think of as emblematic of that era of or think of as being really what make that era in filmmaking exciting.
for sure.
Because this is a film that doesn't really shy away from characters doing ugly things or being unlikable at times, and I don't know. I'm drawn to that a lot of people. It's so funny when you read the reviews. I always look on Letterboxd to see how things are being read, and it's interesting just to see how often, and this is true for a lot of our movies. People are like, I hate all the characters, or I don't like I don't like the protagonist.
Yeah,
And then they can't, and for them that's like something they have to point out as something that they had to get over. They had to get over that to
it,
like
yeah.
the film.
It,
Um,
it's funny because like I feel like we went through I think we went through a period in filmmaking where everybody wanted things to aesthetically look realistic,
mhm.
but it's like they have an issue with like the content of the film being actually true to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
know what I mean? Like they're like, ooh, everything needs to look like The Dark Knight, gritty. Like popular filmmaking. That's what we want. But it's
right.
like you give them a movie where like there's an unlikable character. Like you said, like at the center, people like, I can't relate to him, or I don't like him, so I don't like the movie. And I'm like, well,
But
that's
see,
not
the funny thing is, I find it exactly the opposite. I usually actually find it relatable because
yeah,
nobody's likable all the time. Nobody's a
exactly
good, nobody's a good person all of the time.
all the time. Yeah,
We have
exactly.
everybody has flaws. Anyway, so this movie is definitely those type of characters. Um, they say things that are this movie for sure, they say some things that you can't say now, you wouldn't say now, or they would
Sure. Yeah.
expressed differently. But anyway, I think it totally fits the kind of stuff that I'd like to try to do with the label, which which is to help find a new life for a film that either was once popular and isn't as popular anymore, or remembered now, as in the case of Goodbye Columbus, or something else that like never was really seen, never really had its moment. And we can possibly give it a little extra life, a little extra a little new life, little new blood.
Yeah. A
And it's
little
great
revamp.
if people are around still that worked on the film or made the film. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the best. That's the
It
best.
is. It is. You did get. I watched the new interview you did with the composer.
Oh, Charles
On
Fox. Yeah.
Yes, Charles Fox. I loved it because and it was fun because like when he talked about like how he got um got the job, and like how he wasn't really like he didn't really do movie scores or anything like that. He was doing other things, and like it's cool how like back then when like you're getting into something, people will just offer you things because they take a chance on you,
Mhm.
and that might not be your forte, but like that's how people were. Now if you don't have a piece of paper, or you have a bunch of experience in something, nobody wants to offer you anything. But back then it felt like people took chances. People like were like, hey, I like you, let's do this movie together, like. and
Mhm.
and, and I just his story, him just talking about like his experiences were thought was really fun, and I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy. He's a lovely guy. And for those who don't know, um, he's the author of like one of the you know biggest selling songs of all time, "Killing Me Softly."
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
he wrote he's the songwriter on that. So he's like one of those guys, he straddles the line between pop music and
Yeah.
movie music, and yeah, and he also helped us out so much getting contacts with the other talent on the film. So one of the other extras we have on there is a interview that took place at a screening at the Academy in LA about 10 years ago,
Yeah.
with like surviving cast and crew on stage after the film, and they have this great roundtable conversation. But we had to get the permission of all the people who are on there in that video, and some of them are no longer with us.
Mm.
But we had to get the permission. We had to get sign off from everybody so we could put that video, because it's never been seen before. It's never been seen before. And actually, it was raw video, and I edited it together so that it would, so it would actually work for the Blu-ray format and everything, for the just so it was smooth.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was great because Charlie helped us get all those people, including Ali McGraw and Dick Benjamin,
That's
because
awesome.
he's maintained relationships with everybody. So,
Yeah.
and they're getting on in years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and some of those people are not with us anymore, and so he knew their spouses or their children, and
Wow.
that's how we got it on there. So,
Man.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's really good after you watch the movie. I think that's a really good thing. It's a really good little extra. It's about a half hour long.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
addition
I
to,
still haven't watched that one yet, but I'm definitely gonna do that.
if yeah, you will. It's really good because they really cover, they really cover how the movie got greenlit, how it got developed, and then stories about the making of the movie. And it's just great to see like Ali McGraw, both Dick Benjamin and Ali McGraw have some really poignant stories about what the movie meant to them in their careers and in their lives. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad we were able to include it.
Awesome. Well, the other release you just had come out, you talked about it earlier. It's all over your apartment right now.
Yeah.
This is a big one. People went crazy when they heard this one was coming out. And of course, it unfortunately had a little bit of a delay, but I
Yeah.
think this delay and this change has actually uh, caused a little bit more of a fervor for this release, because of
Think so?
now that the size of this thing is
Yeah.
now grown. Because I'm a box set guy. I love a good box set. So,
Yeah.
but ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous Stains. which I think in recent years, we've gotten a Blu-ray, I think from Imprint. This was a few
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. We did.
This is an upgrade to 4K, so
Yeah.
you get a Blu-ray and a 4K in here,
Yeah.
and a nice book in here, and
Yeah.
our buddy that we've done a couple interviews with, Scott Saslow, who did the design work on both of these releases.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Scott is an ace in the hole for Fun City Editions. He does all of our design. He and I
awesome.
work in tandem on all the packaging, and I always have some wild idea and some new concept, and he's able to make it. He's able to make it work. So
yeah, also got stickers as well. So
yeah, we got stickers in there. We got a poster in there.
Yep, posters in there.
Yeah, the book. So what happened? Part of why this release got as big a package as it has is because I had already a new booklet essay written by Margaret Barton Fumo, and then we got the okay to reprint this really long form oral history of Fabulous Stains from the 90s that was in the Beastie Boys Grand Royal magazine. It's a short-lived culture, skateboarding, music magazine fashion in the 90s. And one of the issues, they had this long form article about Fabulous Stains. And so it's great because it has interviews with everyone in the, most of the people, a lot of the people that were in the movie or worked on the movie. So we put that in the booklet. And then what you're showing them, if you could put that blue cover, the other side. Yeah. So what happened was I was looking at the Library of Congress catalog there. You can look, this is all up online, open to the public. And so you can look up works that have been registered for copyright in this country. So Fabulous Stains is in there, and they have a print of Fabulous Stains that was deposited, like a copyright deposit print that was left there, by the producers and Lou Adler, the director of the film, in the early '80s, and it had a note that the listing had a note that it also included a packet, like a packet of production information. And I thought, wow, I think I know what that might be. See, for people who don't know, this movie never had a traditional theatrical release by Paramount. So a lot of the things that normally would be produced by the studio to market and sell the film, they didn't do for this movie because they never really released it. So it never had a proper press kit created. Yeah. And so what you're holding right there is what would have been included in a press kit, along with 8x10 glossy stills. This would have been sent to critics in a folder. And what you have there is what they call, I think, a handbook of production information. That's what Paramount would call that. And that format is how they looked at that time, with the blue cover and the logo for the film. And inside is typewritten production notes, full cast and crew list, and biographies of the cast and crew. And so so with the Library of Congress, they actually allow you can access that and pay to have them pull it for you and copy it. And so what we did was we recreated the press kit handbook that never existed, that nobody's ever seen before. Even the studio doesn't have that. So
that's awesome.
I just thought, I'm a nerd about that kind of stuff. I am always, I mean, it's historically important, because that's how movies are sold to. That's how they're marketed, with posters and lobby cards and press kits. Is how they are able to get the information out to the press to review the film. And so, since that stuff never really existed for this film, when I found that actually existed in the Library of Congress, I was like, oh, we gotta have that. And that's why the booklet got so fat, because now it's a double booklet. And it actually opens, so it's sort of like it's split, so that so we have, like, one part of it is upside down, you turn it over and it's right side up. Anyway, that's part of what made the package. That booklet is a big part of why the package got so big.
Yeah.
But then it also got very big because the replicator who we never used before. This was our first time, and they were very apologetic, but somehow, for some reason, they made a box for 2 cases, even though we gave them all the specs and everything for a box for 1 case. So we had to sort of on the fly, and that's part of why it was delayed. We had to come up with a second box design, another case wrap, which actually is a lot of fun for Scott and I to do. So you end up getting what we try to do with these Paramount releases is sort of, and it was really fun to do with this movie, since this movie never got a actual VHS release back in the day. It never got never got released on video cassette, Laserdisc, or whatever in the legacy, none of those legacy home video formats. So what we try to do is with these Paramount titles is make the design sort of look like, follow the template of what the classic Paramount videotapes looked like.
Yeah.
So like the color, that's why the color of the spine with the Paramount logo is what it is and everything. So anyway, it gave us the opportunity to make 2 different possible Fabulous Things, video covers if it had been released on video. So.
No, I love that, man. And there's something very like almost like plays into the themes of the movie itself to get that out of Library of Congress. Just to being a rebel and taking it from the government and just taking it back from the man. And,
well, I mean, it's an amazing, the Library of Congress. It has an amazing mission because one of its missions anyway, which is to have like everything or most things that are creative works that are copyrighted. So it's great because that's how we got Natural Enemies, for instance. Natural Enemies.
I love that one.
The Natural Enemies negative essentially was sad. There's a whole very sad story, but basically it wasn't properly stored. It melted. And there was really nothing else for that film to do some kind of restoration from, except for a 35 millimeter copyright print copyright registration print, deposit print that was left at the Library of Congress. So thank God they exist, and they need to continue to exist.
God.
These instances are just 2 of thousands of reasons why it's such a treasure, and I'm grateful because, again, like I said, the Natural Enemies release would not have happened without that. And then in this case, we wouldn't have had these press kit notes, which even the studio didn't have. So we'll give them a copy, but
yeah, just slide them one. It's worth it. But tell us your connection to the film. Tell us why this. I mean, I know why. I mean, it's an obvious great choice to be a Fun City edition. But tell us your connection with the film.
Well, I knew of the film many years before I actually saw it because it was hard to see because it wasn't ever released legitimately released on home video in this country, throughout the 80s and the 90s, and it finally came out on DVD in 2008. So I knew about the film because I kind of had already kind of was from at a pretty young age. I was pretty interested in and kind of, you might say, obsessed with films like this that had kind of slipped through the cracks that weren't on video, oftentimes because of music issues, music licensing issues. And that was part of why this movie wasn't available for so long. So I knew about it. But I didn't actually see it until, I guess, sometime in the very early 2000s via a bootleg, which was probably maybe, came from a cable showing, because that's how people would have seen it. Unless they saw a theatrical screening, a rare theatrical screening, it would have been from cable screenings. And then a lot of people saw it when it was on basic cable, when it was on a show on USA in the 80s called Night Flight. And we actually have and Breaking Glass is another one of these films that also became very more widely known in this country because of being shown on Night Flight, which was just this really cool kind of smorgasbord of just really kind of culty, out there movies and shorts and music videos and experimental films and shorts. And so we have Stuart Shapiro, who's one of the co-founders of Night Flight, do a little booklet essay, a little booklet write-up in both the Breaking Glass and the Fabulous Stains booklets. So anyway, I was interested in this movie for a long time, and then it came out on DVD, which was a whole big deal. Like I say, back, I think it was around 2008. It's almost 20 years ago now. And then when I worked at Kino Lorber for many years, and we had licensed a lot of films from Paramount, I really pushed for it to be licensed by Kino because Fabulous Stains was not available in HD. It wasn't on Blu-ray for many years. So I tried for a long time, but it was too expensive, I guess, at the time. And anyway, so it didn't happen at Kino. And then I wanted to do it. I was really hoping to do it for a while with Fun City. And when we were able to establish a relationship with Paramount, it was like the top choice that it was the thing that really was the whole reason for me to do it, because again, it hadn't come out, and this was before this imprint Blu-ray came out, which so for whatever reason, an Australian label was able to put it out first, but we were working on it. It was something I was working on for quite a while. Some of these deals take a while. They can take quite a while. That deal with Paramount took,
it's been 4 years.
A crazy amount of time for it to come together, for us to finally license the titles and put them out. So anyway, it is a movie. Like I say, I'm interested in music movies, punk music, new wave music, that time period, coming of age movies, movies set in the Rust Belt, movies with, we have a lot of films that it happened kind of by, I got to say, it's not by design, but we have a lot of films, if you look through our catalog, that are female driven, female protagonists. And so obviously Stains fits there. I love movies about outsiders and misfits, and also just like about the music business. And this movie was, comes from people that have a lot of experience in the music business. So it is really, I think that's part of what really plays so well in this movie, even though everything is on a very truncated, accelerated, only in the movies kind of pace. This movie, like, everything's time compressed, but a lot of what you see, I feel like, is very authentic to the experiences of artists, producers, label people, and that's because the people that were making this film, between Lou Adler, who directed it, and Caroline Kuhn, who was a consultant and did the costumes and like the whole look of the Stains, and she was managing the Clash at the time that this movie came out, and so that's part of why you have Paul Simonon in there, and then even though her name is taken off the film, Nancy Dowd, who wrote the screenplay, and she had written things like Coming Home and Slapshot. And that's another really cool thing about this movie, is that it takes place in the same town, fictional Rust Belt, Pennsylvania town called Charlestown, which is where Slapshot takes place.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool too. So that's something I would love to do, as a double feature of Slapshot and Fabulous Stains, because they both take, it's a fictional town, but it's based on Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Nice. That's an interesting Johnstown double feature. So, like, what is it about? Like, what do you think it's about? Like, you brought up like female leads, like, seem to always find their way into Fun City editions. So what is it about that kind of finds its way like into your mind? That's like, is it by accident, or is it just like, is there any intentionality to that?
No, I honestly, that's why I said it's not really. I never really, the label I've never really envisioned it as having such a specific focus.
Yeah, yeah.
It's always been kind of a little bit of a make it up as we go in a way, and just sort of go by feel. And so it just so happens, I mean, I would say a lot of the titles that I'm drawn to are definitely things that are that, like I say, have maybe been a little bit slept on, or that are,
Yeah.
or that, haven't really, a lot of times never really found their place in the market, and never really, maybe never really got what I think of as all the attention and praise that they should have gotten. And I don't know. I mean, so that's really the more of what the focus is. It just so happens, I think, that a lot of those films are films that are,
Have a
that focus on women.
female centric point of view, maybe.
Yeah,
It's
there are a
like
lot
kind
of
of,
films that were made in part or by women, or just feature, a a a woman protagonist or women protagonists. Yeah, it just, so it's not intentional.
yeah,
But it's a night. I will say, when I look at the catalog, I'm like, oh, it's kind of nice that there is this there among. I think there are multiple through lines in the catalog. I think there's multiple connections that you can draw between the films. But I think when I look at it, I say, oh wow, yeah, it's kind of nice. Like when I'm doing my, I remember when I'm doing the website and sort of putting a new front page image on. And if you look at our website, it's kind of like, if you scroll down, it just goes to the older title, the newest titles at the top. And I just remember at some point it was like, man, we don't have any dudes. There's no guys here.
yeah. There was that period where it was like heavenly bodies and like paradise, and
Yeah,
like it was
yeah,
just like, oh yeah,
yeah. We had Tiara Baskin, and we had.
yeah,
I remember. Yeah. So anyway, it's not. It's not. I can't say it was like such a deliberate thing. It's
yeah, yeah,
more. It's. I like to think everything has been more organic. It's been a more of a, like I say, in some ways, make it up as we go along kind of thing.
yeah,
So, but I like when I look back and I say, oh well, we have I think some great female. I think Baby It's You, for instance. I mean, Rosanna Arquette. I've loved that movie for. I mean, actually, at this point, most of my life. I saw it when I was quite young, and Rosanna Arquette is just she's just such a force of nature in that movie. And yeah, so I mean, like I look at that, I'm like, there is one of the great performances, not just, I mean, great performances of the 80s, say, just like uh not even women performance, just a great lead performance. And it is I do think kind of it was not as recognized as it should have been, maybe. I don't think she wasn't. I don't know if she's ever been nominated for an Oscar, but I look at that and I think, if you were going to redo them, I'm like,
yeah,
oh, I think that should probably be on the list, at least as a nominee.
yeah,
But yeah, so yeah, it really does make me happy when I look at the catalog and I can see, like, oh, that's one of the results of, like, what I said was more of the focus initially, which was really just to kind of, well, do films that a lot of films, not all of them, but a lot of them are films that I have a real strong feeling for, a strong affinity for. And then, like I said, trying to really shine a light on some things that I felt like needed that,
yeah,
or deserved it. And so one of the results of that, yeah, we have a lot of great films about women.
yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I think sometimes that stuff, we know that through history, females have struggled to get anything, to be filmmakers, to be the stars of things, and
Mhm,
then to get them seen is it's always been a struggle, not only for any marginalized group. And you talk about great lead performances. In this one, of course, Diane Lane gets to be the leader of this group, and kind of be the kind of, I mean, like, we also have Laura Dern in the band, but
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
she gets so kind of
They're both
overshadowed
they're
in a
both so
way.
young. They're both so
Yeah,
young.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No, it's
it's
impressive. I mean, and Diane Lane really does. I mean, she is amongst all, I mean, obviously there's the other women in the band, but otherwise it's just like it's a lot of guys, and it's like a couple of real life Sex Pistols,
Yeah.
a real life member of the Clash, and then Ray Winston, like
Ray Winston.
Ray Winston right after he was in Scum and Quadrophenia. So there's a lot of testosterone in there, and but she is really like she's in command, and she's only I think she was 15 or 16 when she did the movie. I mean, when they started it, because of course
Yeah.
at the end there's the ending was shot a little bit later, so you can see they look different. The girls all look a little bit older,
Yeah.
and but yeah, most of the movie she's really young, but she's so in command. Like she really does. She, like you say, she really does. She really owns it. She really owns them, and also is another character like we talked about before, who's full of unlikable characteristics. Like she's not a she's I mean, and she can't be because she's got to survive. Like trying to survive in this really like it is a
It's a
rough.
male driven
Well,
world.
not just that, it's just the music industry in general is just, rough. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna it's gonna chew you up and spit you out. And so yeah, she is really a revelation in it. And it's funny because after she did this movie, she's in other things where she's part of an ensemble or like in the Coppola films or in Streets of Fire. And she doesn't really immediately get another kind of lead, even though this movie is also an ensemble. She's really the lead. Like she's really the driving force in the film. She doesn't really get a lot of other opportunities to do that in the ensuing years, like as a young
Yeah.
actress. I think she was in the Cotton Club as well, so she's in a
Yeah.
lot of like big movies, but where she's part, she's a part or a big part of them, but she's not the lead like she is in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's of course Diane Lane go on to do a lot bigger things. I thought what was when I watched it, I'd seen it before, but it'd been a while. And it just rewatching it again, I was like, I think this is kind of a theme of a lot of these punk rock type of films but especially this one is it's really just talking about authenticity. Like us being our true selves. Of course, not selling out to corporate capitalist music business. And that's what's interesting too is Ray Winston, who plays kind of the antagonist of the movie in a way. Is uh you know he wants to be he likes to say that he's the antithesis of that lifestyle, and that she's kind of fake, and it's kind of fighting her the whole movie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of push pull, kind of a push
Yeah.
pull thing. Yeah. Well, he's also trying to he's trying to tell her how she should do things.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
which is
Being
exactly what.
yeah, being a
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's being a
He
guy.
does, he does a lot of mansplaining before that was a term. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's I think by the end of the movie it's a lesson learned. And she kind of gets a glimpse at that this was maybe not a mistake. It was a mistake to be with this guy. But that things will move on. Like I think that there's she sees the two girls like driving off, wearing her clothes, wearing her style and things like that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people were really excited about this release. They're really excited about getting this film in 4K. It looks great. I just watched it the other night, and there are a lot of good features on this as well. A lot of archival stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But
some newly recorded audio commentaries as well. I can't wait to listen to the Diane Lane or Darren archival interview commentary. I'm excited.
They're having a lot of fun on there. It's good.
Okay.
The Lou Adler one's a little more sedate. We talked to Lou, but about maybe doing an interview and he was kind of like, well, I did the commentary already, and
Yeah.
he said something which I thought was kind of poignant. I liked. He said it's the girls' movie anyway. You should talk to the girls. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of liked. And but then we have new commentaries by, I would say, two of the biggest, probably the two biggest champions of this film, who are still with us anyway, for the longest time, and who know the most about this movie. Jake Fogelnest and Mark Edward Hoyk. And so those guys have been on this movie for, well, Mark saw it on, I think, on Night Flight, so he's been onto it for 40 plus years, and Jake maybe even that long too. Well, he's a little bit younger, but those two guys have just, so much up here about
Yeah.
this movie, and so yeah, I just thought we got to have those guys on here. And I mean, I know them, and Jake did the commentary, for instance, for Party Girl, which was great, and for us, and Mark did one for Breaking Glass, so it was just kind of the companion piece to Stains. But those guys, they've forgotten more about this movie than I'll ever know, and most people will. And so that was great to have those guys be a part of it. And the archive just dug up so much cool stuff for us. That's kind of what I was the most excited about. We really wanted to try to find things that had been on, things that ended up on the cutting room floor. And so they found some work prints in deep storage in various places. And I mean, really, this stuff really is in deep storage. Also photos. We have, on the image gallery there, I don't know how many photos, but I mean, we had a couple hundred negatives to look at, to pick, of things that nobody's seen. So we have all that so anyway, we have on these work prints, we were able to find some deleted scenes. Unfortunately, the audio can't be located. So Mark has multiple scripts for this movie. So I said, Mark, you'll come on. I'll ask you what's going on in this scene, and you can kind of hopefully lay it based on the different scripts you have. And, some of the stuff maybe still couldn't quite figure it out. But anyway, nobody's ever seen this stuff before. And it's thanks to the Paramount Archive folks. Shout out to them for digging that stuff up for us. And that's, I think, part of what really sets this release apart. I really think, like I say, when I can find stuff, like whether it's the press notes that nobody ever saw, or the deleted scenes, or the alternate title sequence that we have here, because this movie had multiple titles. So one of the things we found on a work print was a work print where the movie was called The Professional, which is a reference to the song in the movie, the Professionals. So that's the stuff that I love more than anything else, is like, if we can find find footage, find stuff that is archival, that's not been seen before, and put that on. That to me is the most that's the most exciting thing that I can take part in, because I feel like you're kind of like unearthing some unseen history,
Yeah, that, and just being able to put your stamp on the release. It's like, if you're just putting out the same features that another release did, like, it's like what are we doing? I mean, obviously, we're getting the upscale and the quality of the film, but a lot of us collectors, we're looking for supplemental features. That's really a big deal for a lot of collectors. So doing that extra, putting in that extra effort for us is always appreciated. So that's, and you're a collector yourself, so what we're looking for, and that's why I personally keep coming back to Fun City Editions, and keep paying attention to what you got. And before we finish up, is there any teases? You got anything being announced soon?
Well, we did already. Well, so yeah, we have another 4K. Our second 4K UHD coming will be the Paul Morrissey film Spike of Bensonhurst from 1988, which is a really fun Brooklyn set, kind of mob adjacent comedy, but done in a way that is very unique to Paul
Oh,
Morrissey's
Paul Morrissey, yeah.
sensibilities, but it's kind of, for Paul Morrissey, it's kind of more of a, you could say it's a big film or like more mainstream, even though it's still um that's all relative, that's
Yeah,
relative to his filmmaking. But it's still kind of it's pretty wacky. I'm very excited about that one because it's really not been seen. It's definitely been out of circulation in this country for almost, for 30 something years, I guess. So we have that one coming, and from the same company, the same production company that we licensed Spike of Bensonhurst from, we also licensed a film by David Burton Morris called Patty Rocks,
okay.
which was an indie film in the 80s that was kind of it came out around the same time as Spike of Bensonhurst. And I remember these both vividly when I was about 10 years old when they came out. I remember them in the video store, but I don't remember watching them back then. But I remember the posters. Like I remember a
Yeah,
big standee of Chris Mulkey in Patty Rocks. And Chris Mulkey, if you don't know his name, you look him up, you will know his face because he's been in like 200 movies, but he's usually a supporting character. He's been in a lot of big cult movies, but this is one time where Chris Mulkey's the lead. And it's a
yeah.
male buddy movie. It's a toxic male buddy movie. But
Like a Mikey and Nikki, kind of like
yeah, I
some,
guess, I
a
didn't
little bit
thought
like,
about that, but it's funny you mentioned that because I just rewatched The Heartbreak Kid last night. So Elaine
oh
May.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, Patty Rocks is definitely it's pretty. The language is going to be kind of eye opening for people. It was rated X originally because of the language, and then they
yeah,
on appeal got an R. But in its third act, it kind of goes in some surprising directions and is a little bit more than what you might think it's going to be in the first part of the movie. So
yeah.
pretty excited about that one too, because I don't think that never came out on DVD even. Um, so we've got those coming. Not sure what else we can quite tease just yet, but we have some there is some very exciting, really exciting stuff coming that I'm really looking forward to sharing some news on soon, very soon.
Good, good, good. Well, we'll just have you back to talk about them when they come out.
I would love to, and I
Yeah,
mean, I think you'll be. I know there will be something in there, at least one thing that will excite you, if not more. But definitely lots more stuff that you would expect from us, but maybe not from the most expected places.
okay. Well, I'm excited. You got me excited, man. Guys, if you haven't yet, go ahead and get your orders in while you can for these nice limited edition. You have to go to Fun City Edition's website to get these full-on limited edition cases. So please go there and put your orders in. Of course, Goodbye Columbus. Don't sleep on this one. Don't let this be a sleeper. Just go grab it. Trust us, please. Johnathan, thank you. Thank you for joining
Hey,
me.
thank you so much, Stephen. Really appreciate it,
No
and
problem.
I look forward to coming on again soon with maybe later this year.
We're gonna do it. Let's do it.
Let's do